Welcome to Yoga Hub Online Studio. This is a little snippet of yoga, a 20-minute energizing flow. It's actually one of my own favorite morning practices, but you can do it anytime during the day. It's to set you up for a seated meditation, also something I try to do daily. So you can, of course, spend a longer time in meditation after the practice. And I finish with a little piece of yoga philosophy to round off your practice in a meaningful way. I hope you enjoy it. And let's begin in child's pose. I'm sharing with you today what might be one of my favorite morning practices. And it's a little fiery in doses, so please pay attention to your own energy and move in a way that feels supportive for your body from moment to moment, even if it's different to what I suggest. In child's pose, let's take a couple of moments to stretch out the tops of the feet so the toes kind of lengthen away and they feel soft and spacious. Maybe a little wiggle for the hips as we explore that. For the hands and the arms, I suggest forearms completely touching down. The fingers spread wide but not rigid, so kind of soft space between the fingers. And just a little light connection with the finger pads on the earth, almost like you were gently hugging the earth with the tips of your fingers, with the finger pads. And for the head, maybe check this, maybe pick up the head for a moment just to explore this. The forehead bone, that large, smooth bone of the forehead, really steady and comfortable and supported where the head is touching down. And for some people, it might feel better to have the head on the hands or on a yoga block or on a cushion on something else. We're here for 2 or 3 last breaths. Awareness to space in your body as the breath enters and leaves the body. The space perhaps in child's pose that you're noticing between the ribs. Let's begin to take slightly bigger inhales through the nose as we rise up to explore downward facing dog for a few breaths. And in coming to down dog, I suggest again this awareness and connection with the finger pads on the earth, the feet and how you're placing them. And we'll make our down dog here nice and watery. So maybe bending one knee and then the other, moving the hips. We might move the head or the neck. We're exploring soft, watery feelings in the body in this short practice now. Just 1 or 2 last breaths here. Nice generous space between the toes, soft bend in the knees. And then on an exhale, let's walk our way back to the top of the yoga mat. Space under the soles of the feet as we make that journey back at the top. We'll spend a couple of moments in a forward fold, Uttanasana. Perhaps today, one hand holds one elbow, the other hand holds the other elbow. And again, maybe could we explore soft, watery movements in the body? You know, particularly if your body feels a little kind of stuck or stiff anywhere. This kind of gentle movement to explore the edges of your range of motion, the places we could perhaps soften into with our awareness and maybe even with our breath. 1 or 2 last breaths here. Exhaling the breath out as the hands lightly touch down on an inhale, halfway up. Hands on shins, spine long. Focus gaze, breath or 2 here. I like to transition out of Utkatasana with a long, aware, wakeful, spacious spine. So 1 last exhale here, really intention to be wakeful in the spine as we inhale and rise all the way up. And then exhaling the hands down by our sides, a steady gaze, a steady stance, a long spacious spine in Tadasana for our next couple of breaths.
So steady in the feet, maybe a little micro bend in the knees to really drop the body weight and the awareness down into the soles of the feet. On an inhale, arms spacious. And depending on the day and how you're feeling, what might be supportive as you move the body around a little bit here. I sometimes like to move the body as if you were moving like a blade of grass in the breeze. You know, just this sense of being in a soft, fluid body, but still quite awake and alive as best we can. Maybe 1 or 2 last breaths here. And then we'll bend the knees to lengthen the spine on the journey down. And we'll spend just a breath or 2 here. Planting the hands, I'm suggesting we just walk our way back to downward facing dog. This isn't essentially a strong vinyasa flow practice, but more a case of moving with awareness, integrity, ease, and an intention to remain spacious. So the practice is a little strong in doses, and I'm suggesting you modify for your own energy level. We're going to shortly pick one leg up, and I suggest for this that the feet step a little closer to each other, just to give you a little more stability. Inhaling the right leg up. Maybe let's remain true to our intention here to be grounded in the hands, long in the spine, steady in the hips, and then we'll tuck the right heel in towards the body as we turn that right knee to the right, opening up the hip, keeping the knee and the leg nice and light as it travels around, and then we're going to travel all the way back again to center. And we're going to step that right foot forward for a pigeon pose on the right side. Take your time. Back knee lands, back toes touch down. There's often a useful little adjustment we can do with the front foot just to find a sense of stability and ease. And for a couple of moments, let's walk the hands back kind of side to side here on either side of the body. Hands just lightly touching down in a supportive way. And just a little kind of baby back bend here, kind of like the shape we might make in cobra pose. So the chest is lifting, the shoulders are softening back and down. You might really wake up for yourself this kind of sense of anchoring down in both feet here. So there's a real sense of steadiness. One last breath here. And then we'll keep the spine nice and long as we begin to fold forward and down towards the floor, maybe pausing initially on the forearms. And once we're here and we know the right knee is happy, the right knee would be our caution in this pose. Once we're here, we can perhaps soften the feet. Again, as best you can. Spine long, hips relatively level. 1 or 2 last breaths here. So just curious now how the body feels as you consider these invitational instructions to take a little twist into this shape. We're going to place the left forearm down on the yoga mat, the right hand to the right knee, and we might just turn the chest towards the right knee and reach the right fingertips up for a couple of breaths here, open chest. We're really anchoring down into this lower arm unit so we can stay nice and light. Perhaps the back foot can come in here for a little stretch for the left thigh. We're here 1 or 2 last breaths. And then on an exhale, releasing the back foot, looking down and sitting back onto the right hip so we can just swing that left leg around towards the front of the yoga mat. The right knee is off to the side. We'll sit ourselves up a little taller here and just continuity of awareness for a moment before we go any further. Anchored and grounded in the body, hands supporting this long, spacious spine. And then let's inhale the fingertips to the sky and exhale to lengthen forward and down to Janushirshasana for a few breaths. So loads of options here. You might be reaching for calf, ankle, or foot. Maybe just the hands on the floor and the body softening over the legs. Once we've kind of established as best we can length and space, a sense of space in the pose, then we can just kind of let the breath pour in and out and let the body do its magic as we just patiently breathe here in this shape. 1 or 2 last breaths. On an inhale, we come slowly up, placing the foot on the floor beside the straight leg. We're going to hug the knee in, wrapping the arm around the knee and the right hand behind your back for a tall stance through the spine and a little twist. This right shoulder, the shoulder you're glancing back at, just moving slightly outside your line of vision here. Last exhale in the twist. Inhale to come back to center. We're going to come on to the edge of the right foot and we're going to align the knees so they're roughly in line in the center of the yoga mat. And again, it's kind of up and over with the chest as we fold forward here. So we're doing our best to remain spacious as best we can. And then we just allow the head to fall down. And if you're close to your knee, you give your knee a little kiss. And you say, thank you, knee, for supporting me in this practice today. 1 or 2 last breaths. Inhale to come slowly up. A little bit of symmetry here. We're going to stand the feet side by side, sit up tall, hold on to the back of the knees, float the toes off the floor, extend the fingertips away. Chest lifting, heart lifting, rib cage extending away from the floor. 1 last breath. And then rolling over the legs to meet back in downward facing dog. If you need a little child's pose, by all means, take a little child's pose and just catch up with us as we explore the second side in just a couple of moments. Any and all movements in down dog that might feel nourishing for the body as a whole. Step the feet in a little closer to each other. Inhale, left leg up, breath or 2 here, hips roughly level. Bend the knee, foot in close to your body, as if you were dialing that left knee around. Turn as the knee and the foot lift up, away from the floor. Dial it back around. Hug knee to chest as you travel forward. Release the foot to the top of the mat for pigeon pose on the left side. You might find yourself making small adjustments here to find greater stability in the pose. A couple of breaths in a little baby back bend. So kind of like cobra pose, it's an uplift of the chest as the spine stays long. And then from here, we maintain long, spacious spine as we come down, forearms to the floor. This might be where you land for a little while today. Caution for knees. And if the knees are happy, we might soften the feet. Right forearm to the yoga mat. And you're kind of pressing down on the right forearm to assist you in lifting up. We'll turn for the twist. We might reach the top hand just straight up above, or we might find the outer edge of the back foot. Chest is lifting, lower arm is creating stability. Spine is long. I love this expression sometimes in yoga, curling back, so the sense that the neck stays long here as we kind of curl back. 1 last breath. Lovely. And then releasing to come out, and the straight leg just swings around to the front for Janushirshasana, left side. We'll place ourselves with care in the center of the yoga mat. Again, just a little pause before we go into the pose so that we travel in and travel out of our yoga poses with the same intention we maintain in the pose. Inhale, let's reach for the sky and think of lifting your rib cage up and forward as you find wherever your hands might land for Janu Shirshasana. A few breaths here on the left side. So nourishing and supportive, this pose for your lower back. So maybe awareness goes there to the spaces that you're aware of as the breath fills the back of the body all the way down into your lower back if you can. One last breath. Let's inhale and come slowly up. Knee to the sky, foot like a standing foot. We can keep the leg here and twist like this. We might have space to step the leg over. Right leg hugs the knee, left fingertips behind. Maybe just awareness to what's happening in the leg that's providing the base for this twist. Connection all the way to your toes. And again, soft, easy movements as you explore the twist. Things might move around a little bit for you in a way that feels supportive. So we are responding, not reacting. Last exhale in the twist. Come back to face the front. Go onto the edge of the foot, the knees roughly in line with the center of the mat. Folding over the legs. Again, your lower leg here is kind of important. We'll try and notice that. And if you can reach your knee, you give your knee a little kiss to remind yourself of your amazing body and how it deserves your love and care and attention and nourishment as you breathe. Lovely. One or two last breaths. On an inhale, come slowly up. Stand the feet. Sit up tall. Feet as wide as the yoga mat or wider. Let's just drop the body in between the legs for a couple of moments. Sometimes it's nice here for one hand to hold the wrist or whatever feels good here. Nourishing breaths into the back of your body. Chin to chest as you come slowly up. Suggesting you grab your cushion or your folded blanket to come to a loose, comfortable cross-legged seated pose. To close your yoga practice, seated for meditation. If you have time, I would suggest after this recording, you spend a little bit of time with yourself, sitting on your mat. And if you're with me for just 20 minutes today, we'll have just a short period here to sit in silence and stillness. And I have a very short piece I would like to read to close the practice. So in settling here, an invitation to just allow the body to really settle, the base of the body heavy and anchored, the lofty spine, and the spaces that come into the body as you breathe. My suggestion for you is that you carve out a little bit of time every day to be with yourself in whatever way feels nourishing and supportive for you. It doesn't have to be a big full vinyasa flow every day. Some days you might be just rolling out your yoga mat and coming to noticing your breathing. But in my humble experience, a daily practice of some form can be a really supportive anchor as we navigate this life that isn't always easy for us as humans. The little piece I'm reading to you is from a book called The Path of the Yoga Sutras by Nicole Bachman. And it's from the chapter called Abhyasa, which translates as diligent, focused practice. Be soft in your practice. Think of the method as a fine silvery stream, not a raging waterfall. Follow the stream. Have faith in its course. It will go on its own way, meandering here, trickling there. You will find the grooves, the cracks, the crevices. Just follow it. Never let it out of your sight. It will take you. Shen Yen. Thank you for joining me in this practice. Wishing you many happy moments on your yoga mat.